All right, man. So we're here live now with Luke Gazdic. Man, the myth, the legend, the bearded man. Shout out to Justin Turgeon for putting us in touch. Thanks for coming on the Athletes Podcast, man.
No problem, boys. I got a lot of free time on my hands, so happy to be a part of it.
Yeah, you've been doing the podcast tour. You're on Spittin Chiclets a couple of days ago. What is it? How's it feel that living the quarantine life now back in Toronto?
It's different, man. But to be honest, it's kind of like just the end of the season. It feels like I kind of do a similar thing after every year, where you take 2 or 3 weeks to yourself. I wouldn't say hold up in a room and self-isolated, but just taking some time to let the body settle down. I wasn't playing that much, but still we were traveling a ton and practicing and getting bag skated a lot. That takes toll on your body. So I'm enjoying it, man. Mom's getting me some home cooking, and dad's been hanging out a little bit too.
There you go. You get to spend some time with the fam. I'm sure they appreciate it a bit as well. What's life living down in California like? You've been bouncing around up and down there a bit, and you enjoying getting some sun?
Yeah, buddy. It's for me in my career, like where I was 2 years ago, going into San Diego on a PTO. Wasn't sure what to expect. I'd heard good things, but the team's only been in the league a couple of years, so it's just all hearsay from what guys played there. And from the moment I got there, I was like, I couldn't believe that there was a professional hockey team that played in this city. Like, I got a place down in Pacific Beach, and it's just a different life, man. I don't think people realize how good of a spot it is to play. Not only your lifestyle, but like attendance, number one in the league in attendance for like 3 years running now. We get over like just around 10,000 a game, and Friday night they got $2 Bud Lights for all the college kids, and it's just a wild atmosphere. We get treated really well, and obviously the weather doesn't hurt at all.
Yeah, geez, $2 beers. Holy shit, you can't even buy them in a case like that for that price.
I know, it's a fun night. Friday night home games are a blast. The boys look forward to those ones. We always got a little extra money on the board for those games.
There you go. The boys are buzzing always Friday nights. Yeah. I like it. So probably a little different than your time spent in Edmonton. What was that experience like playing up with the Oilers?
Man, like I think I didn't realize how fun it was until I left, until I got out of it. It was always skewed because we weren't a winning team, right? 3 years in a row, we didn't make all 3 of my years there. We didn't make the playoffs, so that kind of skews the fun a little bit. But it's an absolute blast, man. It's a wild place to play. You get treated incredibly. Towing that line because fans are on you, man. Fans in that town, they love the Oil. There's nothing really else there. The Eskimos play in the summer, so during the year, man, it's all Oilers all the time. I'm talking like front page of every paper for every game, practice, you name it. If a guy misses practice because he's sick, like it's in the front section. And it was weird for me adjusting to that because I came there from Austin, Texas, which was like obviously not a hockey mecca. Like it's an incredible place to play too. We had great fans down there, but it's like apples and oranges, man. It was cool. They treated me so well, and I just ran around and I hit it, I fought, and I worked my tail off every game, and I think the fans saw that and respected that, and yeah, it was pretty fun 3 years of my life. I'm not gonna lie.
I was looking through. You got a guy like Cassian on that squad when you guys were playing together, bouncing around. A couple big bodies certainly being thrown around there. And then you also played in Ryan Smith's last year with the Oil, and then your last year with the Oilers. Guy like McDavid gets drafted. So tell me about those guys in the dressing room: Draisaitl, McDavid, Eberle, Hall. You got some Insta pictures with those guys. What are they like?
Man, we had a great group. We had it sucks that we didn't play better because we really had a good team. We had some
on paper you were studs.
Every year on paper, man, like we had a really good lineup and we could just never put it together. But the older guys my first year were unreal. Smitty, Boy Gordon, Matt Hendricks, these guys like literally taught me. I was a pro for 4 years already, but I was a pro, but I didn't know how to be a real pro. And those guys taught me, and like from then it was filtering down to like all our young guys there. I was like 23, but then all the young guys were like, it was like Ebbs and Halsey, Nugent Hopkins, Yakupov, And then the next year was Leon, and then the next year was Connor. You mentioned Cass too. He's a piece of work too. We had me and Cass and Patty Maroon my last year running around.
Oh man.
But no, it was like surreal to me. Smitty's last game was one of the coolest things ever. I had shoulder surgery, so I wasn't playing, but just being around there and being a part of it, that was actually unreal because we didn't make the playoffs and it was the last game of the season. We ended up waxing Vancouver like 8-2 or something like that.
Oh,
like,
my squad.
So out of nowhere, like we pulled out like an 8 spot on Van, who was pretty good. And Smitty had like a 5.5 minute shift trying to break some record or something like that. But man, we all stayed in the dressing room after, and the beers were flowing, the beverages were flowing, and Smitty stayed in his gear till like, honestly, like 3 a.m. I think he was full gear with his skates on till like 3 a.m. It was funny, but it was kind of like sad too. Like he just didn't, he knew it was probably the last time he was taking game gear off, and it was cool just to be hanging around him and telling stories.
So when you talk about guys like vets that are coming in, sort of guiding the younger professionals like yourself, what are some of those things that they give you as tips and tricks of advice coming into the league as a younger pro?
Well, I think you can split it basically into like two categories: on ice, off ice. On ice, like at the rink, I remember Hendo teaching me how to block a shot. I'd never blocked a shot before. In like 4 years, I killed penalties a little bit, but I never understood it. And then I just saw Hendo and these guys like running out at Shea Weber like one-timers on the PK, and I'm like, you want me to do that? No, I'm good. But little things, taking draws, like killing penalties. I remember talking to Gordo like after every penalty, like trying to like figure out his mind and you know where he was going at. But off ice too, just like bringing the same consistent attitude to the rink every day, like not showing up one day and being like happy-go-lucky and doing your whole routine, and then showing up one day and just not feeling like, you know, doing anything. It was like being a consistent pro every day, eating the right things, doing the right things off the ice, and literally just learning how to be a professional hockey player.
It's pretty cool when you've got guys like that in the dressing room who are willing to take you under the wing and kind of guide you through. Take us through what it was like being on Chiclets here a week ago. I'm curious. Is Biz as energetic as he is on the camera as he is off the camera, or what's the deal with those 4 boys?
Man, they're good. That was my second time on it. I've known Paul for a while. Biz and me go back, I think, through Boyd Gordon. Actually, they played in Phoenix together, and so I've known Biz for years. Yeah, they wanted me to come back on last week. I'm like, boys, you guys are too big for me now. Like, they have way too many followers, and I'm like, what do you guys want to talk to me for? And Biz, like you said, super energetic. Kind of just talked me in to coming back on, and had a good chat with those guys. Love hanging out with them. Wits I met a couple years ago as well through Taylor Hall and Eberly. They were roommates in Edmonton before I got there.
Yeah.
And we only went to Boston once a year, but every time we went to Boston, they had this date like circled on the calendar, and they'd be like, all right, we're going for dinner with Wits. We're going for dinner with Wits. And the first time I met Wits, it was like a nonstop comedy show. It really was, dude. Like we were at, I think we ate dinner, or we were just having some beers or something in Southie in Boston. And I remember being there for like 2 hours and laughing for like an hour and 55 of that time. He's just like so quick on his feet. And there's a reason they're so successful right now, because they're just really quick on their feet and great talkers.
Yeah, man, they're just having fun. It's 4 boys shooting shit, and then they get guys like you coming on and telling some good stories, right?
I know, what a life, man. Just get to talk to boys about playing hockey, and Biz always wants to hear the kill stories, and but like, yeah. what a good spot for them. I'm happy to see how much they've grown.
Well, that's the goal at the Athletes podcast, and you know, I don't necessarily have the same cojones as Biz to ask for kill stories, but Turgy said you had a couple of good ones for sure. He told me to ask about the chalet. You got some details? Man.
That's a throwback. So Turge is a friend of mine from Niagara Falls, and there's like a group of us that were all buddies. I'm from Toronto, but played hockey with a couple guys out of Niagara, so I got introduced. And we used to rent this chalet every year. It was one of my buddy Ryan Ludzik, who was also Niagara on the Lake guy. It was his grandmother's or something, and this thing had like 2 bedrooms. It had like space for 4 sleeping people, and we would pack that with like 15 guys every Canada Day weekend in the summers.
Oh.
And you can imagine, dude, like I was just thinking back on that. I'm like, there's no social media. Like I remember my phone not having any service. Like once we got there, you kind of just put the phone in the bag, and you can imagine some of the stuff that happened there, wiffle ball tournaments. And me and Turge climbed up Blue Mountain one night and almost got arrested. So there's that. But thankfully I scooted out of that one. But definitely some stories at the chalet for sure. You got to ask Turge about his tattoo he has. That's my story coming back. Yeah.
Okay, there you go. The rebuttal. We'll have to ask him about that. He also said, what is the other one? Cooler Pop? Is that from Edmonton? Does that ring a bell?
Oh man, cool. Not a lot of people know about the Cooler Pops. I don't even know how Terge would know about that. Cooler Pops, we used to go back at this one bar in Edmonton on the main strip after games. We used to walk in the back door. That's what it was like in Edmonton. I was never like a backdoor guy. I'm like, dude, let me walk in the front door. And then I walked in the front door one time and I'm like, I'm never doing that again.
It was just that crazy. Eh?
It was honestly, man, it was that crazy. Like you could not go in the front door of bars, restaurants. I mean, we sat in the main area, but like everybody is kind of watching from the side of their eye and everyone knows who you are. So we used to come in the back door, but the walk-in fridge and walk-in freezer, whatever it is, walk-in fridge, the owner used to walk us in and make us do a shotgun in the walk-in fridge before we were allowed in. We'd shotgun a can in the walk-in fridge, and then we get to go in the bar and have our fun.
There you go. You gotta get the liquid courage in you early, right?
Yeah, of course.
And so, man, it sounds like Edmonton was just a blast from start to finish. Any other? You spent a bit of time in the New Jersey organization. Any other good stories from the NHL lifestyle before you sort of spent downtime in the A and the E?
Honestly, man, just from a whole perspective, like they were very different. Edmonton and Jersey. I think Jersey has kind of a black eye on it as an organization. You hear Jersey and you're like, it's kind of, people don't know too much about it, but it's wicked, man. It's wicked. You live, like a lot of guys live pretty much on the border of the Hudson River in Hoboken or Jersey City. So you're right beside New York City. You're in a sweet area. I was kind of bouncing. I was in a hotel. I was up and down with Albany, but lived with Taylor Hall a little bit there. And beautiful rink, sick place to play, man. It's unreal. Same thing there too. We had a good team. We just didn't have that much success, but there's nothing like playing for the Oil. I can honestly say that I don't know too many organizations in the league that'll be like that. I can imagine the smaller Canadian towns, Winnipeg, Montreal, Boston, I would imagine would be like that. But I'm talking like facially recognizable everywhere in the city. Your treatment. I don't think I paid for a beer in 3 years there. Like, especially post games and stuff like that. But getting to play at Rexall, which is like this legendary rink, and just everything about it was surreal.
Well, and you are easily recognizable with a beard like that. How long you been growing that for? Is it sticking around for what would be playoff time, or what's the deal?
Yeah, I started this bad boy a couple of years ago. It's been off and on, but for the most part, I've had a pretty grimy one. It's just something I grew into. I like it. I can grow one, and it makes me look tougher than I think I actually am.
Well, that brings on the old 200 plus professional fights you've got under your belt. Take us through what it's been like. Not necessarily the stereotypical career. As far as playing puck is concerned, what's it like battling out on the ice there? You got more pims than points most of your seasons in the show. What's that like? I'm curious from the.
You know what? It's shit. It's an extremely rewarding role on a team. It's tough though, man. It's stressful. It's tons of sleepless nights, sleepless nap, trying to get pregame naps in. But in a sense, man, it is one of the coolest and most rewarding things you can do. I guess being a tough guy in the NHL, which I did proudly for a number of years, the respect and the admiration you get from your teammates first and foremost is next level. Anytime I put my head on the line for the team, the respect I got from the boys in the locker room is really all I ever wanted. And it's just really cool for a group of guys to rally around something like that, which is, so beastly, like two guys slugging it out on the ice. And it's a tough profession, like I said, man, but I enjoyed every second of it. A lot of guys say, like, would you go back and do it again? I wouldn't do it again. I tell you that much. It was tough, man, but extremely proud of, what I accomplished in those years.
Well, yeah, and you should be. It's interesting. So many people look at the aspect of fighting in hockey. They want it removed, whatever, blah, blah, blah. I still think there's a place for it in hockey. And you're right. People talk about that respect factor. And the fans don't necessarily see that. All they see is the two guys, they get out on the ice, they throw some haymakers, and you spend 5 minutes in the box. But they don't realize what it means to those teammates to make sure someone's got your back at all times.
Oh, 100%. I don't want to say I was told that or that's the reason I was brought in, but there were a number of younger, skilled players on our team. And I never liked being that hardo, like that guy on the ice that was like, yeah, if you touch him, I'll freaking kill you. But I always like to, like, subtly monitor things and keep an eye on situations, try to manage my own lane as well, but also take care of the boys. And they appreciated that, man. I had dinners paid for me. I had guys take care of me. I moved in with Taylor. He let me come and live with them. And like I said, rewarding, man. I remember losing a couple credit card roulettes and the bill being placed to me, and then the next guy, whoever it was, Nuge was always good at it, would just take the bill and just slide it subtly across the table and put his card in instead of mine. So nice. It was always nice to get taken care of by those guys.
Yeah. So what's you develop a pretty good relationship, I'm sure, with those kind of boys. What's Halsey like, Nuge like outside of on the ice? What are those guys? How are they able to create those long lasting relationships?
Man, me and Nuge just got along. We sat beside each other on the plane, and he was just like, he was super chill. He's very relaxed. Like, this guy's never had a bad day. He's the same. He's just kind of happy-go-lucky, loves the game, and works his absolute tail off. I think he's first overall pick, so everyone, obviously, you can't say he's an underrated player, but I really think he's one of the most underrated centers in the league. What he brings every day. Halsey's the man. I think media and fan perspective, I think, have this image of him almost that he's had most of his career. I think he's pretty much misunderstood, dude. He's a cool dude. He doesn't take himself too seriously. He loves to joke, loves to chirp, loves to have a good time, like picks his spots. He's an unreal pro, takes care of his body like nobody I've ever seen. But when push comes to shove, he likes to have a good time too. Like I said, doesn't take himself too seriously. Just good dude, man. We used to go back and forth all the time. We talk like almost every other day too. And we talk music and hockey and sports, everything, man. He's got to be one of my best buddies. Dumb as bricks, but I'm just kidding. He's not, though. He is so funny to live with, man. He would be so good in certain things. Like, he would take care of like everything he ate, and then like I remember like the cable, like, and like the Wi-Fi getting shut off like every couple months, and I'd be like, "What's going on here?" Like Cogeco or Shaw, whatever the company is. I'm like, dude, it's like, call the number again. He's like, "Don't worry, I'll take care of it." I'm like, all right, what's going on? And then he comes back. He's like, yeah, I fixed it. And it's back on. I'm like, okay, no worries. It happens like 2 more times. I'm like, yo, dude, so what's going on here? Is there something wrong with the receiver? He's like, no, I just don't pay the bill.
I just forget to pay the bill.
He's like, I just don't pay it. I don't have auto payment set up. So this guy would wait till his everything just got shut off. And then he'd call. He'd pay the interest. He'd pay that reactivation fee, and he'd pay all the bills that he had to pay. And he's like, yeah, I fixed it. I'm like, dude, you didn't fix anything. You just put a Band-Aid on it. So like, stuff like that I thought was hilarious. But it was fun. We had a great couple years living there, man. It was a fun house.
You got to get him set up with that auto pay or something. You'd think a guy like that.
I finally did. I got his account. I'm like, literally, all you got to do is press this check mark, and you'll never have to pay a bill again in your life. So taught him those things. And man, he used to have all those upper deck cards signed. Like, you get these.
Yeah, the hockey cards.
I don't know if guys know this, but like those upper deck cards that are signed on eBay and stuff, and that upper deck sells, like, they send those to the players, and the players get paid per autograph. So like he'd get a box for, X amount of dollars, and Halsey just had he had boxes and boxes sitting in the corner, like stacks, like probably 5-6 high with like 2,000-3,000 cards in them each. And I'm like, dude, this is cash. It's like a pile of cash sitting in the corner. Yeah. And I like grabbed him one day. It was like an off day, and like we had a record player there, and like I'm like, let's throw on some records. We'll order some food. Like, I'm like, we're gonna sit down, and like we're like, not me, but you're gonna hammer this out.
You're bang this out.
I want some of this money too.
Yeah, well, you take 10-15% commission off that.
Exactly. So yeah, we sat down there one day. I just oversaw the whole operation, but because Connor was signing at the same time too, and Connor had been putting it off forever too. They give these guys deadlines. They're like, you have to sign all of them by like April. You're not getting paid. I'm like, yeah, you're gonna tell Connor McDavid he's not getting paid. So I'd like watch these guys sign autos and then just collect benefits.
Yeah, there you go. Hey, maybe that's a little retirement job. You just got to be the guy that signs people up for auto pay on credit cards and gets the autograph signed.
Yeah, I told the boys on Chiclets, I was like drama and like turtle in that house, man. I just took care of everything, just cooking and cleaning and taking care of bills, and then the boys just brought home the bacon. And
there you go. Hey, not a bad life, you just stay at home guy. Yeah. What other good stories you talk about on Chiclets? We're recording this before their episode goes live, so I was trying to decide when to do this, but get a guy like you coming on willing to shoot the shit. I had to get it on as soon as possible.
Man, there weren't the last one we just had with Chiclets was us pretty much just shooting the shit for like half an hour. They were just getting an update on me and seeing where I was at. The first time I was on, I had just got back from a backpacking trip that I did in Southeast Asia. I went to Thailand and Bali for like a month by myself. I just went and cruised around. Yeah, I booked a one-way flight to Bangkok after a season, and I ended up losing my phone like 8 days into my trip or 6 days into my trip. So I was basically cruising around Southeast Asia with like no phone and trying to figure out how to like, maneuver my way around. And I made it like a month. It was like 27 days or something. I went and I don't know where I was. I was in Indonesia somewhere, and I was like, shit, I got to go home. Like
Bangkok didn't get you though.
Oh man, I was in Bangkok the first day and I sent it so hard on day one that day two was like full recovery. I had like been on a plane for like 24 hours. I went through like 13 time zones, and I land and I like get to this place that I'm staying at, and I'm like in the heart of Bangkok. All right, I gotta send it here. So I like start cruising around. I got my backpack on, like a little Canada flag, and I'm just kind of bar hopping, but I'm just kind of getting the lay of the land. And before you knew it, I was like in deep with like 10 Thai people like my age that didn't speak a word of English, but just thought I was hilarious, and they were just following me around. They just wanted to like go cruise around. So I'm like bar hopping with all these Thai people. And then I woke up at my hotel and I was like, all right, can't be doing that for 4 weeks straight. So had a little rest day, and Bangkok is for real though. Everything you've heard about that town and more, it's there's some stuff you can't unsee.
Well, the boys and I just finished watching Hangover 2, so I can certainly imagine it's something similar. I don't know whether clearly you didn't lose a finger, so you're good, but could have been worse.
Yeah, I got all my appendages. I just came back with a little less self-esteem.
Hey, that's all right. Sometimes you need an ego check every once in a while.
Yeah,
you can't be spending time in the show and not get taking it down a couple pegs every once in a while.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly, buddy. I'm looking to travel again. I'd love to get somewhere else. I like I said, it was so unnatural for me. So I think I'd probably try to make some more content out of it next time. I need a phone, first of all. I need to not lose my phone. That's like step number one.
Yeah.
But I have a shit ton of content from that trip. I like made an iMovie too. Like I have tons of footage, but I've never like shown too many people it. But if I do another one,
dude, share that shit.
I know, dude. There's some wicked stuff there. I ended up like learning how to use iMovie and like figured that out and like made like it's like a 7.5 minute movie from like the trip, and I've only shown it to probably like 10 or 15 people, but it's pretty cool. There's tons of cool footage. I just that was kind of my trip, and so I think the next one I go on, I'm gonna kind of publicize it and try to get some good footage out of that.
Yeah, you need a little Biz Does BC. Just Gazdic does Bangkok,
Yeah, there you go. Well, I think we might have to stay away from the the Asian countries
Yeah, I
just till
get
this thing blows over. But we'll see, man. I'll see where the next journey takes me.
maybe Gaz does a Glasgow or something, just you got to get the alliteration in there, right?
Yeah, there you go. But I would love to do that. Talk to my brother about doing that, doing like, a little bit of time in Ireland and Scotland. And I'm a big Irish whiskey guy. I love Scotch. So I'd love to go do a couple distilleries and check that out and check that process out. There could definitely be some good content in there.
For sure. So what is next for Luke Gazdic here? We got like obviously this season up in the air with whatever's happening left, but what are you looking forward 5-10 years down the road here? I always am interested to hear from guys who are currently playing. What's the next steps?
I think that's the number one question for most guys, right? I think immediately we have to figure out this year and see what happens. I'm guessing we're not going to be reconvening here with the spike that's going on in the U.S. right now. I just can't see any more mass gatherings or even being able to play in the buildings. It'll be very tough for them to juggle, but obviously I don't know. I don't know what's going on, but I really don't know in the future. I'm pretty open to a couple different options. I'd like to see where my body and my head's at after this all settles down, and possibly keep playing. But we'll see. It's been 11 years now, man. That's more than I hoped. I think I didn't have like a number in mind. I think you think when you first start, you're like, oh, I'm going to play, till I'm in my mid 30s or something like that. But as you grind on, you get to like year 6, 7, and 8 for me was when I was like, oh man, like,
yeah,
I can't just jump on the sheet and play anymore. I can't just show up to practice and just like turn it on. Like I needed to take care of myself. So we'll see how the body feels down the line here. But, in the next couple of years, I'm excited to see where I end up. I have a couple of different talents in the bag. I don't want to say talents, but I can do a couple of different things, and hopefully just something fun, man. I want to I want to do something fun, work with some people, and whether that's in hockey or it's not, we'll see. We'll see how it plays out.
I like it. Yeah, you got 500 plus games now under your belt too. I saw that on the Insta.
I should have more too. I've been damn healthy scratch for about 200 of them. 11 years. I think I should be at like 700, 800 games or something like that. But I think I missed tons of games with injuries. Had some upper body stuff, some shoulder injuries, so missed a couple of that. But I don't want to skirt at the fact that I've had probably triple-digit healthy scratches. So
hey, it's quality over quantity, though, right? That's the best way to put it.
Quality work, but there you go.
Yeah. What? So just to touch on your time in the O, sort of as a younger athlete, playing with a guy like Ryan O'Reilly, were you expecting when you were playing with the Erie Otters to have a 10+ year career?
No, but I'll tell you that Ryan O'Reilly changed my life as a 16-year-old.
Okay, let's get into it.
We drafted him first overall, and he wasn't rated first overall. He was rated like 5th or 6th, and nobody wanted to come and play in Erie. Because I shouldn't say that, but there's some perks that teams dole out to players to come to their team, put it that way. And our team did not do anything like that. If you wanted to come play for the Otters, you were doing it honestly. You were doing it because you wanted to come play for the Otters. And Snooki, Ryan really wanted to come play for us. And I never seen a guy still to the day, like junior, I've never seen a guy that is that dialed, especially game day. The way he could turn his mental on was like nothing I'd ever seen before. And his work ethic was second to none. Like guys say they work hard. You're like, oh, this guy works his bag off. Like this guy nobody works as hard as Ryan O'Reilly. Everything that this kid has got in his career and his life is earned, and literally nothing has been given, man. He's ate the shit. He'd been traded a couple times, and that Stanley Cup and that Conn Smythe, that's no coincidence, man. He earned every inch of that.
Yeah, the boys on Spittin Chiclets had him on, or they were talking about him, and they basically said the same thing. He's like, that guy never stops working, and his dad's been a guy that's been supporting him his whole life too. And it's just a guy who's never stopped grinding to be the best he can be.
Yeah, he gets a lot of it from his dad. His dad's a mental coach, like
Yeah.
uh, game performance, like stuff like that. He worked with us a little bit in Erie. Nice guy, very intense, but very knowledgeable and very intelligent at what he does. His older brother Cal is obviously a longtime pro as well. NHL, not as much success in the NHL as Ryan, but he's been one of the top point guys in the American League for the last decade. They're both similar, but like I said, man, the mental side, the little things this kid did in the dressing room and like on the ice, to anytime, like for me, if I ever get negative and I get on myself, like I almost stay that way for a couple shifts. Like it'll like wear on me. And I could watch Snook like make a mistake or do something that he didn't plan, or something happened, and he would just be straight back into his zone within seconds. And it would, like, I just never seen anything like it. He was 16 years old at the time. I was sitting beside him in the dressing room. I was one of the captains. And I just remember being like shit, this kid he's going to be an absolute stud. He showed up the next year, 17, second year, and had made like unreal strides in the summer. And I was like, all right, this kid's legit. And he ended up just torching the league. And the next year he got drafted to Colorado in the second round. I think he was behind like Barry and Landeskog or something like that. And he ended up making the team and never looked back, never got sent to the American League, never got sent back to junior. He's been there ever since.
It's cool to see when guys are like just from a young age so dedicated to, and then just, get what they deserve, right? It's you look at some other guys who don't necessarily get that. They don't get the cup under their ring. They don't get the things that, they work so hard and deserve. So there any other good stories you want to bring up here? This is a once in a lifetime for me to being able to chat with you, shoot the shit. But you got any other good stories you want to leave the Athletes Podcast listeners with? Man,
I don't know. I was thinking about that, but I think we cover a lot of stuff, man. There's so much shit that happened, especially like living in that house with me and Connor and Halsey. That was an experience of its own. Everything from playing in Edmonton to playing in Jersey, just stories for days, but in my head, a lot of stuff. That might not be a little PG, but no, we cover a lot, dude. I think my whole hockey career is just one giant story. So as long as you just get me talking, I probably won't stop.
There you go. Well, we appreciate you coming on. Man, unreal stories is awesome to hear from someone who's lived through it, and working with guys like McDavid, Halsey. It's a lot of fun for you, I'm sure, be able to talk about that for the next couple of years of your life. And it's cool, and we're gonna have to get you down to Niagara with Turgey, and we'll have to shoot the shit down here and put your beer drinking skills to the test.
100%, buddy. In the summer, you want me to come down and do it in person? Let's fire that up. Appreciate it.
Yeah, we'll get some things flowing here in the works. I appreciate it, and stay safe. Keep those hands washed, and we'll be in touch soon.
Okay, cheers, buddy.
All right, have a good one, man. Thanks again.